Alrighty then. Here we go. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Pondering.
Artlist.io.
That's right. And I am your host, Pastor Joel. Welcome aboard, everybody. Sorry we're a little late getting started today. Just pretend there were commercials going on up until this point. That's all. Just pretend that. We'll work together. So this is a program where we ponder all things. We talk about them. We look at things from a biblical perspective. We're unabashedly, unashamedly, unapologetically Christian. However, we look at all kinds of stuff, politics, and, of course, matters of faith. But sports, entertainment, you name it, we talk about it, and it's always a pleasure to have you aboard. In case you want to participate, you can do so in a number of ways. You can type your comments into the chat here on Facebook and post them on our Pondering Radio page of Facebook. You can chat with us on Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker. Spreaker.com. You can go there, listen live. You can also download and listen on demand and make comments in the chat box as you go. You can call us. That number is 860-500-7163. 860-500-7163. What else? You can text us. The text number is 860-938-2725. 860-938-2725. You can write to us. You can send a carrier pigeon, skywriters, however you prefer. We love to hear from you. So, a lot going on in our world, a lot going on in the news. Karen and I are just about to head out on a little adventure. We're going to be doing some Standing Stone ministry support. I think most of you by now know about Standing Stone. If you don't, well, let me tell you about it. Thanks for asking, by the way. You can check out standingstoneministry.org to find out more. That's standingstoneministry.org. But let me give you the quick overview. It's a ministry supporting pastors, ministry leaders, missionaries, etc., and their families. And Karen and I are what are called field shepherds. We are missionaries. We raise our own financial support to do this. So if you would like to contribute to that, we'd certainly appreciate it. Keeps us afloat, keeps us moving, pays for trips like the one we're about to take to upstate New York, western New York. We'll be spending 3 or 4 days in Rochester, Buffalo area, meeting with a number of pastors and wives that we're trying to encourage, cheerlead for, give some coaching to, etc. And sometimes just be a listening ear, The ministry started about 20 years ago in California. There are 80 of us field shepherds now around the country, and there are probably just as many, well, that's probably not true, maybe about half that many, what are called retreats shepherds, because we also sponsor retreats for pastors and wives where we send them away to kind of retool, regroup, recharge, etc. And it's a great ministry, unique in its form and its approach to serving leaders. And the philosophy is simple, guys. You take care of the head, the body is going to be blessed. And if you don't take care of the head, if the head is sick, the body's going to be sick or worse. And certainly we've seen our share of that in this country in the last several years. There are lots of sad statistics I can quote to you. We lose somewhere around 4,000 more churches every year than we start in America. Thousands of pastors quit, retire early. Somewhere around 80%, give or take, of pastors who start in ministry right out of Bible college or seminary won't be in the ministry when they're old enough to retire. They'll have quit before that, burned out, blown out, fallen in some sin situation, or ended up just leaving the field altogether. A lot of divorces, sadly, in ministry. And a lot of it comes down to just the stress. And maybe sometimes we as church members not understanding what ministry is like. Imagine a job that never ends. There was never a break, even day offs, or not days off, I should say. Days off or not days off. Sometimes, many times. Pastors really need to, and we encourage them to fight for time away, to get rest every week, to get vacations every year, to get sabbaticals every 7 to 10 years. And that's a big thing for us. We try to promote. We can't enforce it, of course. You can't control it, but you can just encourage it and cheer for it and pray for it, so that some of those stats can change and we can see healthier ministries. And beyond the ones who blow out, burn out, blow up, leave the ministry, whatever, there are a lot who just stick it out, but it just becomes drudgery. And their sermons reflect it, and their decision making reflects it, and their counseling reflects it, and that's perhaps even worse, because they're staying in the job but not doing the job the way the Lord would have them. And so we try to encourage and coach and help so that they are at the top of their game and their marriages are healthy, and they can really just let the Holy Spirit work through them and do great things. So if you'd like to be a part of that, we appreciate it. Karen and I, as I said, are missionaries. We raise our own support to do this in terms of salary, expenses, travel, whatever we have. And if you want to write to me, probably the easiest email is joel@lifewaych.com. That's JOEL at lifewaych.com, and I would be happy to tell you more about how you can be part of our team. And we really mean it when we say the word team. In our ministry, we don't look at people as just a ATM with feet, It's not about even just praying and paying. We really try to keep everybody every week informed of what we're doing and give them opportunities to pray for specific folks, sometimes by name, sometimes a pseudonym, just to protect confidentiality. Sometimes they're more hands-on things. We have people who donate properties, have pastors come and stay. We have a woman who makes gourmet meals for pastors when they're on retreat. There's a lot of things that people can do to be part of this, beyond just sending a check every month. And we certainly appreciate that, but we want you to know there's more to it if you want to be more hands-on and more involved. So that's Standing Stone Ministry. We will be seeing a bunch of pastors and wives and some supporters from our team up in that area, and boondocking. We'll be staying in our RV in a church parking lot near Rochester to do this, and that's we're kind of excited about that. That's a dream come true. We've wanted to have this set up so that we could just go wherever the need is. I mentioned there are 80 field shepherds with Standing Stone in the country. That's good news. The bad news is Karen and I are the only two in New England and most of the Northeast. So we do cover quite a wide territory in terms of those that we work with, from Boston to Buffalo, and as far south as New York City, and actually probably into New Jersey even. But anyway, that's the deal, and it's exciting, and we love it, and we're so thankful God has called us to it, and we appreciate your prayers as we go forward, full steam ahead. So that's what we're up to this week and this weekend. How about you? I'm hoping you're not letting the news get you down. I'm hoping you're not panicking about COVID or monkeypox or anything else. I'm so jaded right now I just be honest, I am, when it comes to any news report about any pandemic-related issues, because we've just been lied to and misled and overhyped so much over the last couple of years that it's kind of like the story of the boy who cried wolf. Most of you know that story. I imagine my dad used to tell me that story all the time. When I would get exaggerating or be tempted to lie or something as a kid, he would talk about the boy who cried wolf. Yelling wolf, wolf, wolf. The townspeople would all come running with their, pitchforks and axes, and there's no wolf. And when he finally had a real wolf come and attack his sheep, he cried wolf and no one came, because they didn't believe him anymore. And I think that may be the worst part of this, is if we actually had something that was, of the ilk of the Black Plague or some horrible thing, I wonder how many folks would pay attention at this point. Here's our administration. Think about this. Pushing vaccines for babies, 6 months old, okay? Threatening people. The president said, well, we've about to run out of patience with those who won't be vaccinated. What does that mean? What are you going to do? Lock them up? And they're pushing these vaccines, and yet we know for absolute scientific medical fact that the vaccine is not stopping the latest iteration of COVID. this current strain is pretty much immune to the vaccine. It just most of the people I've known in the last year that have had COVID have been vaccinated and boosted. Some would argue, well, it's not as severe. Well, we can't prove that. We don't know that. I've seen too many examples of folks who weren't vaccinated and got the sniffles when they got COVID, as well as people that were and then almost died or felt like they were going to die. It's kind of like a bad flu, is what I would say right now. And it doesn't seem to be impacted by the vaccine at all. I've known people, again, vaccinated and boosted, who were very ill when they got it, and people who barely knew they had it except they got tested and found out they were, so they went into quarantine for a few days. Dr. Fauci, who at this point has got to be a walking CVS pharmacy, if he's following his own advice, he's just recently had COVID and had cold or flu-like symptoms. So why are we pushing, if it doesn't work on the current strain, and if the current strain is not producing the same level of casualties, why are we pushing the vaccine, especially on babies? It just seems so twisted to me, controlling, frightening in many ways. And so, we need to be wise as serpents, Jesus said. We need to get our facts together. We need to do our research, not just listen to what some nut is posting on Facebook. But we also need to be harmless as doves. And there are times where we just quietly do our thing and don't necessarily go along with the hype. So I hope you're not being troubled by all of that, that you're staying focused. I think the country has an opportunity to turn around, to make some significant changes in our governance, our leadership this fall, and in the next couple of years. And I think God in His mercy is allowing that, and we'll see how we respond, how we rise to that occasion. I will say that if we don't rise to the occasion and we keep things as they are, in terms of the makeup of everything from the White House to Congress and the Supreme Court, I think we're in trouble. I don't know that we'll survive as a country. I could see anything from civil war and a split in the nation to just complete economic breakdown and chaos. And I'm praying that's not the case. Sometimes Christians get caught in this thing of, well, we kind of hope it does happen because then Jesus will return sooner. Well, I think you have to read Matthew 24 more carefully, because Jesus indicated that it would be at a time we least expect it when He would come, and that people would be saying peace and safety, and they'd be marrying and giving in marriage and having parties and get-togethers as if everything was fine. So it may not require that we go into something that makes the Great Depression look like a picnic at the park in order for Jesus to come. I think our focus as Christians should be the Great Commission, the gospel, doing the work, making disciples, building them up in the Lord, and waiting and trusting that we're going to do that until we go to heaven individually, or He comes with all those who passed before us and sets up the fullness of His kingdom. So either way, we know what we got to do, and that's where we should focus. And if we can do things and make decisions in our voting and our business practices and everything else that support His kingdom, that uphold His values and principles, then that's the way we should do it. This idea that you can vote one way and believe another way, like Nancy Pelosi seems to think and our president seems to think with regard to abortion, for example, I think that's crazy. It's definitely not biblical, that I could support something that I know is morally reprehensible to God as a leader, to promote it even, and then on the other hand, claim that I'm a, hardcore Christian, or as Nancy Pelosi would say, she's a dedicated, loyal Catholic. Well, not according to the Archbishop in California. She's not. Anyway, those are some of the things happening in the news. Some of the things we need to be thinking about, praying about as God's people. And because of the nature of our journey and what we have to do today, I'm going to make this a shorter than normal program, just a 15-minute pondering. But again, love to hear from you in the meantime. We'll be back next Thursday for probably a full hour, and we'll give you a full report of this trip and some of the things that happened, some of the people we were able to impact. So please continue to pray for that. And thank you for being with us, and thank you for just being a part of this show and your comments and notes and communication going forward. Remember, you can call us, leave a message 24/7 at 860-500-7163. You can text 860-938-2725. You can email Joel at lifewaych.com, or you can just make comments right here on our Pondering Radio page of Facebook. And we look forward to reading those. Until then, until we see you next time, God bless you, keep you, may He make His face to shine upon you and give you peace. See you soon. Bye for now.
Artlist.io